Wabenta, good morning. So actually we're going to, like last year, share this presentation with my colleague Ilkka Haran, as we're going to talk about some strategic topics, but also some financial topics. It's my pleasure again to be with you this year, as we were last year, and give you a progress update on what happened at KONEen in the past year. Now, before we do this, I'd like actually to put things in context and make sure that everyone is really clear on what happened at KONEen, not last year, but in the past years. Let's start first by the outside. Let's start first by making sure that we all understand very well the market in which we operate. We do operate in a market that's fantastic, that's made of 25 million of elevators and escalators in the world, and all those elevators and escalators needs to be serviced. This is the blue box that actually relates to the blue part of our business that I will explain slightly after. Out of these 25 million elevators, 10 million elevators are getting old. So you all have a car, maybe you don't have all an elevator in your place, but you very easily realize that a car, after 15 years, needs a lot of service, needs a lot of modernization. Exactly the same for elevators, and this figure, 10 million, by 2030 will actually be 13 million. So whatever happens to the market of construction, the beautiful things with our business is that elevators are getting 1 year older every year, and that actually creates more opportunity. Just in Europe, 6 million elevators, 5 million are more than 15-year-old. These are as many opportunities for service, of course, but actually modernizing those elevators, because elevators are very important in our life to shape the future of cities. And last but not the least, every year there are more elevators being put in place. Actually less than a few years ago, because in China the market has been slowing down, but actually in the rest of the world we still have 400,000 units that are being put in place. This is the pink that actually relates to the pink part on the right side of the screen that shows our business context. So that makes a market of 80 billion, which actually shapes a lot how our business has been transforming. In 2020, we were a business of close to 10 billion, but actually with quite a bit of NBS, new building construction, some modernization, and some services. And what happened in the past years is we've pivoted a company that was very strongly relying on new construction, especially in China. And many of the people that I've been interacting with have been telling me, KONEen is a company that is totally connected with China. Actually, less and less. Because KONEen has been pivoting and is actually accelerating further to be a company that is primarily fueled by service and modernization. The blue and the green actually have been growing quite well, around 10%, 10% on services, which is remarkable, more than 10% in modernization, and these green and blue is actually more than 60% of our sales, but 90% of our profit. And then the rest, which is the pink, is split into two. New building construction in the rest of the world that has been actually growing fairly well, with places like India, Middle East, where it's growing very, very fast. Places like Europe and US, where it's growing not as fast. And then China, which today, that pink part, NBS Greater China, is actually less than 10 billion of the 80 billion market. So the bottom line is the reality at KONEen, maybe it was not visible for you, but for us, it's been a step change of a company that was operating a lot in new construction with a lot of profit coming from China, to now a company that is primarily driven for its future with service and modernization. So actually with that page, you got pretty much the fundamentals of the company going forward, because what happened in the past 2 years is just going to be accelerating, and the growth, the fantastic growth we've been able to drive last year in services at 10 and in modernization at more than 10 are actually, I would call it the new China, the new driver that will make this company growing and actually expanding its profit. So actually, once you got that, you got pretty much everything. Because now if we look at 2024, the story is exactly the same, and we are going to be working very, very hard to make sure that we are extremely predictable going forward to drive this outstanding growth in service and modernization around 10, growing our business very strongly outside of China, around 10 again, magic number, and actually doing this and driving growth for the company, making sure that we expand our profit, expand our cash, while executing our strategy, and I'll try to give a bit more color on our new strategy, Rise to Lead. So everything we're going to be talking about with Ilkka Haran in the rest of the presentation is going to be strictly in line with this direction of moving the company to be a resilient engine driven by service and modernization growth. Let's see some figures. And the figures are going to be a repetition of what I said before, but with proof points that actually what we are saying is actually working in figures, which then are driving the value of this company. Orders. And orders are very important. We have a strategy that needs to be driven first by growth. We want to expand the company, we want to gain market share, and we want to do it primarily in our 3 of the 4 areas, meaning all of the areas out of China, where actually we're growing more than 10%, with China actually going down because indeed the new construction market was down very much. But with all of this, we've been growing the company in orders by 3.3% at comparable currency, while actually sales have been growing dynamically, not yet to the full potential that we want, which would be more mid-single digit, at 2.2%, with the blue services growing at 10 and clearly outpacing competition. The green, which is modernization, growing at more than 10, while actually in the pink, which is new building construction, we've been overall growing in every place but China, while actually we've been losing sales in China in line with the market. And with all of this, we've been expanding our profit, and every quarter we are coming methodically and with a lot of discipline to make sure that we will expand our profit sequentially from one year to the other, which is what we've done in 2024, expanding our profit level by 30 basis points from 11.4% to 11.7%. Now let's talk about strategy. We launched a new strategy in September 2024, which was really a big goal we were having as actually we were working together and with a new leadership team. And our strategy is very simple. We aim high and we want to lead our industry. So the name of our strategy is Rise to Lead. And we want to start by putting the bar high and really fulfilling all the potential of this fantastic company. So we want to lead our industry in employee and customer satisfaction. We want to be the best, and everything starts with this. Everything starts with customer delight and with committed people. Then, to support this, we want to be outstanding in innovation and sustainability. And in our strategic direction, it was important for us to add innovation because we are an innovation company. And innovation is central for our capacity to drive customer delight and make a difference on the marketplace. And this will result, if we take care of our customers, if we take care of our people, if we drive this in a sustainable manner and drive innovation, we will deliver superior growth and profitability. But that's the ultimate results, and we don't start by this at KONEen, we start with customers and with people. And with this, we wanted to have very few priorities that would be very clear and that would be the same everywhere across the company. Number one, we want to accelerate digital transformation, especially in our service business. Number two, we want to drive a very strong growth in modernization. Number three, In new construction, we want to make sure that we win in residential, which is actually the biggest part of the market, a very competitive part of the market, which actually is challenging us to be even more competitive and more cost-conscious within a company. And last but not the least, in sustainability, we've taken one priority, which is carbon. We want to cut carbon. We want to drive our carbon footprint down very decisively. And in the back, we have this gray box, which we call our core, which is evolving our culture to be the easiest company to work with and to work for, which will come with shaping our culture and all the things we love about our culture towards more speed, more courage, and more simplicity. And I would say that last one is probably the most important and also the most difficult things we have to do, because we are step by step, with respect, adjusting the DNA of the company to make it faster, to drive more courage, and to drive more simplicity across the company. Very strong feedback from our people. We love the simplicity. We love the ambition of this strategy. Very strong feedback from our customers. Many customers came to us saying, we got it, and we really want to make sure that we partner with you in this journey. And very positive feedback from our shareholders, hopefully some of you, on indeed the fact that it's very simple, the ambition seems right. Some challenges, say, okay, now let's prove us that you can deliver, and that's exactly what we are passionate about doing every day of our life at KONEen. Now let me illustrate a few points. I was saying innovation is important, yes it is. And I'd like to flag 3 points, 3 innovations last year that we are very proud of. The first one is we have a legacy of being very, very strong in the high-rise, in the most demanding application. And here again, we've put the bar higher with our next-gen high-rise mini-space DX with ultra rope, which are ropes made of carbon, which really make a difference, where we kept improving, one, the competitiveness, but also the feature, the software, and all the hardware that goes with that offer. Number 2, win residential. We want to be very, very, very cost competitive in that part of the market. In 6 months, we've been able to launch this offer first in Europe to make sure that we would cover or fill an offer gap that we had in, let's say, the more cost-effective solution that we would have in the, say, low-rise application. Very strong feedback, especially in the south of Europe. And the last one is around modernization, that business that's growing so well, where actually we think that we can do more with less. And we can bring solutions that are more cost-effective, that are faster to deploy, because when we would come to those elevators, we would not change everything. We would change what is strictly necessary, and actually by doing this, be faster to deploy, be more cost-effective, and actually be in the end delivering the value that our customer needs. That's what we call partial modernization. A couple examples of customers. We're talking about delighting customers. 3 wins that we are very proud of. One in Milan on modernization. We are talking here about the metro line in Milan, where we made a difference thanks to technology, but also thanks to our capacity to reassure customers about our track record of delivering large projects. Very similar win in the US this time, which is a very interesting market for us. And the last one is really a win that I love, the Burj Bin Ghati in the Emirates, where that's a more than 500-meter building, which actually, it's a residential building where actually, when we count on the top 10 tallest building in the world under construction, 5 out of 10 are going to be equipped with KONEen, which really is a tribute of how strong is our technology in the most demanding application. And we are very competitive, and actually we want this market share to keep going higher, because we believe, especially in that market space, we have the best technology in the world, proudly invented in Hyvinkää, and we are really, really excited and very proud of how we are making marvels for our customers. Digital. I was talking about this drive digitization. We really believe that in services, which is one one of our most important business, digital technology will change everything. And they will change two things at least. One, for customers, we believe that once an elevator is connected, we can drive predictive capabilities, we can remote service people, we can remote test, and we can be bringing so much more value for our customers. That's one. Second point, for our field technician, and on the 65,000 people we have in KONEen, 40,000 people are field technicians. They are probably the most important people in the company. We want to make sure that digital technology helps them to come on site knowing exactly what type of installation they have, knowing in advance what could be the fault, knowing in advance what are the spare parts that will be needed, and automating the report so that the life of a KONEen technician is extremely efficient. For this, we are putting in place dynamic maintenance planning, and you have a world map here that shows that actually we are in full swing of deploying those solutions to all our field teams, and actually we see a lot of benefit from this, starting with productivity. On the left side of the screen, you see actually the level of connectivity we have. So we stand today at 35% connectivity to drive more value for our customers, and our ambition is to go to 100% by 2030. It's very ambitious, but actually it creates a very simple goal for our teams to say, we will operate digital in services, or actually we will not make a difference. So there is no choice at KONEen. Digital is the way to drive our services going forward, to delight our customer, and to be more efficient with our field teams. Sustainability, that's actually a commitment that started quite some time ago in 2018 when talking about science-based targets. We have a goal by 2030 to cut our Scope 1 and 2 emission by 50%, our Scope 3 by 40% between 2018 and 2040. You see here that bar, that KONEen carbon footprint, which is roughly 14 to 15 million tons of CO2. You see that actually our Scope 1 and 2, which is a lot of vehicle, fleet, and facilities, is a fraction of our carbon footprint. What makes a difference is two things. One, the lifetime energy consumption of our products, 2/3 of the 15 million CO2 emission that we have in the company, 1/3 coming with the material, including steel, but not only. And here, I'm very happy to see that finally things are moving. We've gained a lot of, you see the move from 22 to 24, from -4.3 to -12.8. A lot of it is coming from new technology that we call regenerative drive, a bit like hybrid cars where we harvest the energy in our elevators. And we see now a very strong acceleration of this regenerative drive in our elevators, which actually allow our elevators to be way more energy efficient. An elevator today compared to 30 years ago would be roughly 90% more energy efficient. 90%. So we want to spread this technology everywhere we can so that we make a big difference from a sustainability standpoint. With that in mind, I'm going to pass the mic to Ilkka so that we can go into more detail with figures.
Thank you, Philippe, and also welcome on my behalf. So today I'm going to start talking about the market for last year, talk about the financials, and then about the outlook for current year 25. But let's start with the markets. And in year 24, we saw actually good opportunities for KONE to grow based on the markets we're in. So 11 of our 12 end markets, so 4 areas, 3 businesses, were either stable or growing. That's a good market environment for KONE to see new opportunities. In new building solutions, Philippe already talked about China. Clearly there, the market was difficult and declining in new building solutions. But in the rest of the areas, actually, we saw growth. And even in Europe, we actually saw stable development in the new building solutions market. North and Central Europe being more difficult, as we are now in Finland, clearly a difficult market, but then South of Europe compensating for that. In services and in modernization, the markets continue to provide good opportunities for growth. And particularly if I look at it geographically, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa was the growth engine of the world. All of the businesses, all the market provided opportunities in all of the businesses. But a few words about China before I continue with the financials. So Philippe already started to talk about the change we've seen in KONE. And we've seen the same change in China. So if I look at the period from 2019 to 24, so 5 years period, the China market has become a more and more services and modernization opportunity. So from a 65 to 70% new building solutions market, it now is roughly 50-50 market between new building solutions and services and modernization. And as I already talked about the market development, clearly both services and modernization as well as both service and modernization both grew in last year, while at the same time the new building solutions market declined. And we expect this to continue. So our strategy Rise to Lead is up until 2030. So by that time, we expect China to actually resemble a lot more the markets we see in Europe or Americas, where the businesses are more balanced, representing roughly a bit more than 1/3 in new building solutions, a bit more than 1/3 in services, and then the modernization opportunity that continues to grow throughout this period and after the 2030 being 20 to 25% of the market. Then at the same time, KONE, as Philippe said, has become less dependent on China. So we've seen very good growth outside of China in all 3 areas. And at the same time, due to the difficult market environment, the China business has actually declined. So more and more of the KONE revenue, as well as the profits, are coming from outside of China at this point. And we expect that to stabilize more going forward. Then the important point is that even in China, with this market, we continue to see the business having a more resilient nature. So the services and modernization continuing to increase its weight in the business. And in 24, our new building solutions market, new building solutions revenue was about 2/3 of the total. 1/3 was then the service and modernization. And we continue to see that path towards more 50-50 split in the coming years. So difficult market in China, but the part of the business now, which is service and modernization, is increasing, and that's much more resilient. There's a huge opportunity to modernize all the elevators in China as we speak. Then talking more about KONE's performance in 24, and I'll start with the orders received. 3 of our 4 areas, as Philippe said, were growing. And our orders received for the year was 8.8 billion. On a comparable basis, without the impact of currencies, the growth was 3.3%. What I'm very happy about is that we saw strong growth in Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific and Middle East, clearly growing faster than the market. In China, we developed more in line with the market from an orders perspective, but a good growth in the business in the market we saw in last year. Then looking at the revenue. So KONE's revenue grew at a comparable basis to 2.2% and reached now over 11 billion. If I look at from a business perspective, clearly what Philippe was highlighting, that we saw services growing at 9.5%. That's a very good figure. A few years back, I would have been here talking about the growth of maybe 5 to 6%. So we've clearly been able to accelerate the growth in services. And that's the recurring revenue stream that we have in the business. Also modernization growing strongly. So orders growing more than this, but now sales growing at 10%. You still have to wait for the orders to turn to sales. But good performance in both of the businesses. At the same time, new building solutions declined over 7%, driven by the development in China. In other areas, we saw better development in new building solutions as well. Then, not only did we grow, but we also have a strategy of growing in a profitable manner. Very happy to now have 8 consecutive quarters of profitability improvement in the business. For the full year 24, we reached 1.3 billion in our adjusted EBIT, which represents 11.7% adjusted EBIT margin. If I look at the key drivers for the profitability improvement, so not only is it good to grow in services and modernization because it's a resilient revenue, but it also provides as a business mix benefit when it comes to profitability. They have a higher profitability, and the more we grow them, the more we can increase the profitability for the business. Secondly, as we've seen modernization now continuously ramping up, very happy to see that we've been able to continuously also increase its profitability. So as we scale the business up, we're able to see that we also get scale in the business. At the same time, the new building solutions market, particularly in China, is very, very competitive, and we've seen the margin decline in the China business as a result of it, impacting negatively our profitability. And then the broad-based inflation in our cost, of course, contributes negatively to our profitability, and we continue to see that impacting us in 24. Then maybe to my personal favorite slide, so cash flow. So we, for the year 24, had a strong cash flow, 1,589 million. And that's a good measure of the health of the business. And we continue to see positive development in this market in the cash generation, and our net working capital continued to be strongly negative at 827 million. Then a few words about the year 25. So I'll start with the market outlook. So the market outlook for 25 looks fairly similar to what we saw in the also for the year 24. We see good opportunities for growth in markets, and 11 of the 12 end markets continue to be either stable or growing. Few highlights: the new building solutions in the rest of the world outside of China continues to grow or be stable. But in China, we do expect the market to be equally difficult than what we see in 24. And in services and modernization, we continue to see very good growth opportunities for the business. Maybe the change in the services part is in China, where we've seen for the long time growth to be 2 pluses. Now, with a smaller new building solutions market, we see less elevators being added to the maintenance base, so the growth is a bit more modest. But also there, we see both service and modernization continue to provide us opportunities to grow. Then if I look at our outlook for the year, and for the year 25, we have a business outlook, which is aligned with our midterm targets. So as part of the new strategy, we also launched midterm targets, which set the target for us, where do we want to be in 27. It is aligned with our long-term financial targets, growing faster than the market and reaching towards the 16% EBIT margin. But we wanted to set the point in time when we measure that are we executing our strategy towards the 2030 in a correct pace. And the target for us in 27 is adjusted EBIT margin of 13 to 14% and a revenue growth at the mid-single-digit growth rate. Now for the year 25, we expect KONE's sales to grow slightly at the comparable exchange rates, and we also expect the adjusted EBIT margin to continue to improve as we've seen in the past. So very much in line delivering the strategy also for the year 25. But with that, I'll actually ask Philippe to continue and finish the presentation.
Thank you, Ilkka. Very clear. So we have very few priorities, and we really want to make sure that we have the right focus and simplicity within the company. First of all, we want to make sure that we keep fueling the market with meaningful and customer-relevant innovation. I was giving a few examples of things that happened in 2024. We have a lot more coming, and that's very exciting. And I'm very excited to see how well the company has refocused to drive our priorities with the right innovation. Service and modernization is an absolute must in the company. They are the two first priorities that we were mentioning in our strategy. That's applicable for everywhere, and then specifically by geography, we are taking China differently. China has been a growth story for very long. Today, at least not anymore in our new construction. In China, we are managing the business very differently. Cash is number one. Number two is margin with our business and giving a floor to our business. Number three is moving as fast as we can to the new market dynamics with more modernization, more service to be as fast as we can, a 50-50 company, 50 modernization and services, 50 new construction. Also to de-risk the company with the exposure we would have, which, by the way, is lower by the day and by the quarter on the new construction. And last but not the least, and we've not talked a lot about it, but in parallel to all the growth initiatives, we've worked very diligently on what we call our performance initiative to secure the improvement of the bottom line, working on pricing, working on procurement, working on what we call sales and operational excellence, so that all our branches, these entrepreneurial units of 30, 50 people that serves our customer on the ground will be operating extremely efficiently. So these are four priorities which are here to deliver the guidance and what we've been talking about. And if we would like to leave you with a few very simple points, one is KONEen today is a resilient business, much more resilient than 5 years ago, driven by strong growth in service and modernization. In a zip code of 10% combined, we are full swing executing a very simple but ambitious strategy called Rise to Lead, and we are full steam ahead on that front. And we are very, very focused on delivering our targets for the year, but also our midterm target and our, let's say, 2030 directional target to make sure that actually we deliver predictable results to our shareholders and delight our customers and make sure that all our employees are extremely committed within the company. So that closes our update, and very many thanks for your attention.